Imagine stone columns, tall and unmoving. Between them, a figure of authority sits, books stacked at his feet, a scroll in his arms, at his side, a globe. Adventures waiting, quests, but not yet. Around him, students are listening. Welcome to a real-world tarot episode of the Your Creative Mind podcast. I know it's a little strange that I ended the one podcast to bring everything back over here, but I realized that I just need to just have one show, one me. I am a writer, I am a musician, I am a reader, I am a tarot card reader, I am a director, I am all of these things. And I keep trying to split them off because I keep getting advice, oh, you should split everything off so people only get the one thing of you. But if you're interested in what I have to say, honestly, this is the place to do it. So I'm done trying to fit myself into anything anybody else has to say. And ironically, the Hierophant is the card for today, and it is a card of passing on what you know, of being the educator. So maybe I'm ignoring other people's advice in exchange for taking my own advice. So there you go. Please enjoy the Hierophant episode of the real world episode of the Your Creative Mind podcast. I'm Isolde Trachtenberg, and I'm your host. The Hierophant represents authority. That's the whole sort of oeuvre, the opening note of the card. The Hierophant is a figure who holds knowledge and hierarchy in the same hand. Look at what surrounds him. And in fact, if you want to go to the show notes, you can find the image from the Real World Tarot deck so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. The columns, they represent hierarchy itself. They represent structure, a chain of command. The book and the scroll represent knowledge, but knowledge that's already been gathered and recorded by someone else. The globe represents quests, adventure, the wider world waiting out there somewhere. And the women and children around him, students or supplicants, are people who've come to learn rather than to lead. He connects to a few cards you probably already know. The World, which we'll be getting to in more depth at a later episode, is sharing that same globe. The High Priestess, twice over, her columns mean choices you make for yourself, while his mean a choice being dictated to you by someone in authority. Her scroll means wisdom she holds inside herself. His means knowledge he's already handed down, or is in the process of doing so. The Magician, with his own books of knowledge, the Eight of Coins representing studying, the Six of Swords gaining knowledge, the Two of Rods ruling, the Nine of Coins, big decisions, and the Six of Voices, which represents inspiration. So that's the inspirational aspect of someone who is a figure of authority for sure, but someone who knows more than you do, who can pass down new knowledge and at the same time, inspire you. So, the next part of this episode is sort of an interesting thing. Learn, then do. Know, and then act. Find out, and then respond. The Hierophant can be a tough taskmaster. He calls on us to know before we act, and that can really cramp your style when all you want to do is jump in and get going. But often, when we do that, instead of coming up with the goose that laid the golden egg, if you will, we end up with egg on our faces. And that's another, now that I've said it, that's another animal trope, animal saying that I need to come up with a different, tofu on your face? I'm not sure. I have to figure out what that is. It's interesting when you're sort of channeling what you're saying. Sometimes these sayings come out of me and I go, oh, that wasn't, it's what I meant, but I could have come up with a non-animal version of this, but I didn't. I just said it. Interesting. Anyway, so The way to look at the Hierophant is today is not the day to take a leap. Today is a day to step back and see what's going on. Get the lay of the land. Observe. Notice inside and out what's happening. If there's something you don't know, look it up. Wait for the information to become available. If you are curious about something or have to make a decision and feel like you don't have all the information, do not make a decision yet. Ask questions, study, seek things out, see if you're getting any intuitive hits, and then act once you know. Because if you leap off the cliff before you know whether the water below is welcoming or whether there are, jagged rocks waiting for you, you're taking an unnecessary chance, an unnecessary risk. Most days, for me, I tell you it's worth the risk. Go for it. Roll the dice. Play the game. Leap. And that's more the Fool than the Hierophant. So if you have the Fool in a spread also, you might go, ooh, maybe I do know enough and I'm ready to take that chance. But if the Fool is nowhere to be found, today, hang out because you don't have all the information. So, at the very least, I'm asking you to know your own motivations. Know yourself. Know what you want. Know what you need. Know what you desire, perhaps above all else. If it's a secret want, at least be honest with yourself about it, because it does you no good to lie to yourself. But you know what? We're all so good at it. Our powers of rationalization kick our own butts all the time. So if you catch yourself rationalizing, stop. Step back and figure out why you're making excuses for yourself or for someone else. There's information even in that place of pulling the wool over our own eyes. See, again, animal. I wasn't even thinking pulling the cotton over our own eyes. There you go. Something is making you do it. Something inside you is making you go, okay, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to face this, to deal with it, to even acknowledge it sometimes. And you know what? The thing is, as always, if you name it, if you figure it out, you're most of the way to fixing it. I tell all my students in whatever I'm teaching to know the rules before you break them. It hasn't been more true than it is right now if you're facing the Hierophant. So, I want to tell you about a reading where this card's real lesson showed up, uninvited, in someone else's own body. At the Renaissance Festival many years ago, a woman brought her really skeptical husband in to get a reading. She'd had her own tarot reading and had been so accurate about her children, especially her son, that she talked him into getting one too, even though he made it clear from the start that he didn't believe any of it. We got through the specifics of his questions, and then the most important thing came out. I said, there's a health issue, and what you're doing about it is not working. It's not sufficient. He'd drawn the Five of Swords, the Page of Cups, and the Three of Swords, and it read like a potential heart issue, so I asked him if he had high cholesterol. He stopped everything. Yes, he had a count of 282, and no matter what medications he'd tried, nothing was bringing it down. And then he drew the Hierophant, and I said, okay, you need to know more. You do not have the entire information, and medication may not be the answer. And we had a serious talk about needing to change his diet, not just rely on the meds. And then he was going to have to really do the research about what kind of diet would work for him. And you know what's interesting is that he told me he'd heard the exact same thing from his own doctors more than once, but he'd never actually believed it until that moment. I recommended a nutritionist I know, and he left ready to actually make that call. And I love doing that. No matter what the question is, no matter what's going on in a reading, I'm always going to give you one truly super easy, actionable step. Take one today, right now, and you'll see how things progress from there. Because a lot of times people get a reading and the reader will tell them whatever the reader tells them, and they walk out thinking they have it. I know it. But with time and distance, even a few minutes, they forget the gist. They forget their call to action if the reader gave one. But for me, it's something super simple. And I've actually had people put it in their calendar. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., I'm making this phone call with this phone number to this person. Why? Because it's super easy to get lost in the moment. It just is. So, to me, passing down that knowledge, passing down the recommendations is one of the crucial things that I do as a reader, but also it's one of the crucial things the Hierophant provides, right? Because that, in this reading, that was the Hierophant doing his job. The knowledge wasn't new. His doctors had already told him what he needed to do. What was missing was the moment where he actually let the information in and let it change what he did next. So, here's the mission today. Before you leap, know what you want, know what you need, know what you desire above all else, even the secret parts. Know what information is already sitting in front of you that you've been talking yourself out of believing. And once you know it, actually let it change what you do. Know the rules before you break them, right? That's not actually just a suggestion today. It's the whole assignment. Well, here's a little bit more of an assignment, a small exercise, something for you to sit with today. Think of one piece of advice or information you've already been given from a doctor, a mentor, a teacher, a friend, anyone in a position to know that you've heard but haven't actually acted on. Ask yourself honestly, what's the story I've been telling myself about why I haven't done anything about it yet? And maybe if you journal, write it down. But if not, at least see if you can come up with the answer. I'm betting it's going to be very educational. There's a lot more to the Hierophant, some negative connotations, I would say, to abusing hierarchical privilege. But I'm not going to go into that right now. And I'm not going to go into the Hierophant showing up reversed because some of those less than stellar ideas show up when the Hierophant shows up reversed. So again, as I mentioned, I'm going to do this whole deck, all 98 cards, and then over the next however many years, 2 years, so over the next 4 years, you're going to get my thoughts on the right side up versions and the reversed versions, but also, just like I did today, talking about what cards show up with what, and also readings that have both sets of cards in them, for example. Like what happens when you get the Three of Swords and the Hierophant and the Devil in one card, in one draw. That's a story right there. And so we're going to talk about that, about those kinds of spreads and how you use facets of one card to almost anoint the description of the other, your explanation or your reading of the other. A lot of people who want to know tarot don't know how to do that, and it's critical. The relationships between the cards in the spread are critical to you getting the most accurate and the most information-rich reading. Okay, so if you're interested in seeing more about the Real World Tarot, you can find it at my website, readingsbyizolda.com, and go to the Today's Tarot section. You'll be able to see all the cards. But if you want your own deck, honestly, I kind of made the decision that the only place you're going to be able to buy a copy of this deck is from me. I'm not sure why I decided that, other than I really only want people who only really want this deck to be able to get it. I kind of feel like this is such a special deck, and it's so illuminating that I want its ease to only be used by people who actually want it. So the only place to get it is through me. You can get in touch any way you want to get in touch if you want a copy of the deck yourself. Okay, that's it. I keep chatting. Now I'm just chatting. I said that to somebody in a reading. We ended up, the other day I was doing a gig for a huge birthday party, and the people were Irish, many from Ireland who came over for this huge birthday party. And it turned out we had a lot of, I was reading for this one guy, and we had a lot of people that we knew in common in Ireland, because I used to go to Ireland a lot. Oh, you know Maz? Oh my God, I can't believe you know Maz. I know Maz. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. It was really fun. And it's possible because I used to play in sessions at a pub called John Benny's many years ago, and this guy was living in Dingle then. We decided that it was possible, because he used to go to the sessions all the time, that we had been in the same place at the same time almost 25 years ago, more than 25 years ago, which I think is just the coolest thing ever. Anyways, so we literally were at that point chatting, and there are people in line waiting to get their readings, and I went, at this point we're just chatting. We're no longer doing a reading. Now we're just catching up. so this is kind of what I feel like with this show. I feel like I'm just talking to you, and I hope you're learning things. And if you are, do me a favor and go review the show on, if you're listening on Spotify, give a few stars. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, those are two of the only places I know that actually let you review. Maybe Amazon does, and I think this podcast is on Amazon now. Anyway, if you want to, I would love it if you would subscribe to the show and leave a review if you're learning things. If you're not and you want to know more, get in touch and tell me what kind of thing you would want to know. Because right now I'm working my way through the cards, but I could take a break, and maybe at some point I will, and talk about how to deliver news that is less than stellar. Because in a reading, people sit down often and they go, I just want good stuff. I just want the good stuff. And in my mind, I'm not doing my job. If there's a challenge coming up before you, I am not doing my job if I gloss over it. My job is to tell you about any potential challenges I see, but also to help you come up with a plan of action on exactly how to rise and meet and overcome those challenges. See what I mean? Anyway, there's a lot of stuff that you can talk about as far as how do you give challenging or bad news and still make it something that is positive to the person getting the reading because they have a plan of action. What do you need to say? How do you need to say it, depending on the cards that you're looking at? There's a lot there to unpack, and I will be unpacking that in some episodes in the future. And also card combos. That'll be coming maybe 5 years down the road or something, but that will happen. I will be talking about card combos and what that means. Okay, until next time, I am Isolde Trachtenberg. This has been and will continue to be the Real World Tarot Podcast. And until next time, know the rules and then decide. Thanks for being here today. I really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the podcast if you're new, and it would mean the world to me if you told a friend about it. Today's episode was produced by Isolde Trachtenberg and is copyright 2026. As always, please remember this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance does not guarantee future results, although we can always hope.